26 opposition parties joined forces. Varghese, they say it's Modi versus their India. Modi versus their India. After that, the Prime Minister, at that particular meeting, he had that whole expansive speech. He spoke about coalition of negativity. But Derek O'Brien's tweet, I'm coming back to that, where he said that India is, well, it's the first time that the NDA is reacting to India and not the other way around.
Well, it looks like that, and interestingly enough, every page has that particular story up. You have both the alliances being shown and in contrast with each other. And as we see, the opposition parties, of course, name their alliance as Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance to take on the Bharatiya Janata Party's National Democratic Alliance, which rallied 38 parties together in a separate meeting in New Delhi. Well, this is how this has turned out to be. But then the acronym India, I mean, it's going to be very difficult to use because, of course, when we put it on print, we have to put I.N.D.I. I mean, you have to just break it apart in certain levels. And I think that's how the morning, for me, when I was trying to put out that acronym India to represent something called as the Opposition Alliance, for me, the big difficulty was how to, in fact, put it across. So either I have to say it's a Congress-led alliance, or I have to break it down saying the India Alliance, of which I would say that I have to put dots after every first letter of what they try to call.
The editorial page on the Indian Express says opposition position. They gave themselves a clever acronym, got rivals at the same table, but opposition's battle for 2024 needs a lot more than just this.
Yeah, because one thing is that, see, these are, if you look at the NDA camp and when you look at the opposition's India camp, in the NDA camp, you have a very powerful entity called as the BJP, and you have smaller parties that are in alliance with them. And when you talk about the BJP to a large extent, of course, they are the umbrella party and under which we have everybody underneath it. But then, Kabir, if you look at how the Congress is trying to synergize with powerful regional players. So, in a lot of places, it will be playing second fiddle to most of these regional players, unlike the BJP, which will be a dominant player and will have a secondary partner. So that is how it is going to be when you look at the immediate difference.
One really funny, comment from Mallikarjun Kharge yesterday, Varghese, where he said that, the NDA is saying that 38 parties have come to their, I don't even know if so many parties exist in India.
I mean, there are so many parties. Some parties have not even had a single representative, but still they do exist on paper and with few people as
leadership such. Question is something that people are talking about. All this while, one important aspect is that the Congress has said, and this is coming from the AICC President himself, he said that the Congress is not after the PM's post.
Well, that is the biggest thing that we have in fact noticed when we come to this particular aspect, especially it is to say that the Congress is ready to think out of the box. That is one thing that, or one aspect of it that we have to understand, is that the Congress has always thought out of the box when it comes to certain aspects of trying to outmaneuver its rivals. We have seen how there have been prime ministers who have been supported by the Congress when it was in larger numbers in the parliament. I was in fact yesterday giving you the examples of I.K. Gujral and we had H.D. Deve Gowda. So that it's not that they don't have the ability to do that, but and also think out of the box. They have done it before, but there is always this question of stability if such an option is being put in place. And then you have very powerful and regional players in place. And since you have these very powerful and regional players in place, what is the kind of role that these regional players will be having when it comes to 2024 elections along with the Congress? Because the Congress will find the most difficult part of this is to crack the seat sharing matrix in this entire thing. Because, for example, the DMK is well entrenched in Tamil Nadu, TMC is well entrenched in West Bengal. So they are all not going to give up on their possibilities and their winnings as such, or where they can win. So the Congress will have to contend for tougher seats and probably try to pick them up from these regional players. So the regional players are going to be a powerful force within the Congress alliance because they have themselves established. But when it comes to the NDA, the BJP will be the primary player and the rest will be marginal players in this. So therefore, this is the kind of difference that's going to emerge. And then you remember
the
that
fanfare with which the opposition meet was held, and we're looking at these pictures of the NDA meet. I mean, there's a complete contrast. I mean, that the opposition conclave held in Bengaluru looked like there was so much fanfare. Like I was talking about, it looked like an international summit. This one looks like a little more serious,
you have Eknath
a little more
Shinde.
reactive.
Yeah, in fact, over here you have Eknath Shinde and you have
You've got Edapadi Palaniswamy over there in the back. You've got the AIA-DMK. You've got the Shiv Sena.
The AIA-DMK is actually one of the biggest allies that is there in the NDA. And they are one of the most prominent regional players that is there in the NDA as well. So, but this is sans Jayalalitha and sans any sort of charismatic leadership that we would see in the AIA-DMK. Palaniswamy is still testing the waters, and let us see whether AIA-DMK under him can actually pull through in the coming elections in Tamil Nadu, if it's possible for him to pull through. But the fact remains is that other than AIA-DMK, when it comes to larger regional players, it is much less because BJP has a presence in all these states and they have been able to go it alone. Twice they have, in fact, not required NDA allies to reach the majority mark, and now also they enjoy that. So BJP alone has been able to cross the majority mark, and therefore the alliance partners have to play that, I would say, as the sideline role. But over here, where the Congress is dependent, this is dependent on these regional players, because the Congress believes that if it goes in competition with the regional players, what it essentially does is that it not only cuts the regional players' ability, but the regional players' ability also is there in cutting its chances in wherever seats it thinks it can win. So it just splits the vote. So they are just trying to consolidate it. But here there is a huge dependence on regional players when it comes to the Congress alliance.
Well, it seems like the NDA was a little rattled in the beginning, but it was able to, put out this particular event for itself as a counter opposition to the opposition's 17th, 18th July Bengaluru United We Stand, the joint opposition conclave. Now, let's lay bare the semantics that we have in front of us. 26 opposition parties joined forces with India. About 30 plus parties, because the number I'm not really sure about here, I don't want to put a stark figure on it, with the NDA. Now, Congress is not after the PM's post. Sharad Pawar finally attends the meeting of the joint opposition conclave. The next one is going to be held in Maharashtra. That is important to note because Uddhav Thackeray, when he was addressing the gathering yesterday, he said that Agli Baithak Maharashtra mein hogi. These two sittings have been really crucial and important. The next one is going to be even more crucial because that's where this joint committee is going to be created. You've got 11 people in this core committee. There's going to be a convener, and then the name of the leader, the face of India, is going to be,
So that is going to be really interesting because in that case, we are going to see.
And already in Maharashtra, the Pawars in the Shiv Sena, in the NCP, you know exactly what's happening. I'll tell you some inside scoop also that I've been picking up. Of course, nothing corroborated or confirmed right now. We learned that Ajit Pawar went to see Sharad Pawar twice within 24 hours, right? It wasn't to say that, Pawar Sahib, come back with us, come back in the fold. It was more to tell him, don't go to Bengaluru.
But he did go. He did sit in the main. In fact, you have the picture of him sitting next to Mallikarjun Kharge and both of them having that is what
you had the senior leaders right there.
So that is what the Hindustan Times.
And Mallikarjun Kharge, answering back to that journalist, said that, you're talking about NCP split, you're talking about the Shiv Sena split. Both of these creators are sitting right here. Both of these creators are sitting right here. Both of these are fighters.
And I mean that picture as well. Can I just show that picture if possible? That picture in fact speaks 1,000 words actually, where you do see that kind of a conversation between Kharge as well as the NCP founder as well. And that is the person that we are talking about, Sharad Pawar. I think that picture should be highlighted because that shows how the the entire thing focuses on the fact that the original parties.
And it's not just that. You got Rahul Gandhi, who's looking up towards Mamata Banerjee as well.
Yeah,
and that Mamata Banerjee, Rahul Gandhi bonhomie was also something that could clearly be seen. Apart from that, K.C. Venugopal. You know how K.C. Venugopal went to each person's chair. He was talking to Uddhav Thackeray. He was taking care of what Hemant Soren wants. Aapko pani chahiye, aapko ye chahiye. Talking about everything. He really was there to make everybody feel welcome. And all the opposition netas, all the opposition leaders, right down from Arvind Kejriwal to Uddhav Thackeray to Mamata Banerjee, each and everybody came out and congratulated the Karnataka Congress. So the idea that the Congress had put out to hold this event in Bengaluru
seems
to make sure that the message is put forth.
But however, the Prime Minister did not spare any words about it. He went on to say coalitions of negativity never successful. That is what the Hindu has put out on its article on the front page. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday said that 38-member National Democratic Alliance NDA was a coalition of contributions and not compulsion, with development as its main agenda, drawing a line between 25-year-old BJP-led alliance and the opposition alliance I.N.D.I.A. India. See, this is very difficult. I mean, to at least put it on print, it is fine. But then he thanked the parties that had gathered there, meeting for reposing faith in him. He said, coalitions that start with negativity are never successful, attesting the endurance of NDA to the fact that it was formed in 1998 with a positive agenda of governance and stability. The meeting passed a unanimous resolution that NDA would contest the 2024 Lok Sabha elections under the leadership of Mr. Modi. So, who's going to be...
Battle lines have been drawn. This is how the Indian Express puts it. To counter NDA, opposition unites to float India. Opposition parties meet, united we stand, and there's a picture of all the NDA leaders, below the opposition meet. So, I mean, the newspapers also, again, not trying to, put the newspapers on the pedestal here, but the opposition, parties meet picture is above the NDA meet. That could purely be on the basis of spaces, but the PM has, like you pointed out, slammed the opposition's conclave for the corrupt, says it's the conclave of the corrupt, says NDA is a coalition of contributions, not of corrupt political leaders.
So, and also the Hindu has another article which says heavyweight attendees. 7 chief ministers have attended. 7 chief ministers. Mamata Banerjee from West Bengal, Arvind Kejriwal from Delhi, Bhagwat Mann from Punjab, Hemant Soren from Jharkhand, Siddaramaiah from Karnataka, M.K. Stalin from Tamil Nadu, and Nitish Kumar from Bihar attended this meeting. So there were 7 chief ministers, sitting chief ministers, who had attended that meet as well. But again, how would you address this? I mean, I'm finding it very difficult while speaking to you also, when you say the
JDS and the Biju Janata Dal. So the Biju Janata Dal essentially has made itself equidistant from both these alliances.
I think it's taken a very, very neutral stance, and it has been BJD's way of doing things. It has always been on a negative stance, on a neutral stance. And when it comes to that neutral stance, one of the things that interestingly that shows is that BJD has always had active relations with, when it's required, with ruling dispensations in Delhi, whenever it required and however it suited the interests of Odisha. So it is one state. But then both the Telugu parties from Andhra Pradesh, YSRCP and TDP, not there in both the sides, and that is also quite interesting to note, because a whole region has gone completely unrepresented in any of these camps. I would say one would be, of course, Telangana as well, because BRS has also stayed away from any of these alliance meetings, and therefore the BRS, the YSRCP and the TDP, who are the Telugu party state, who are parties from the Telugu states, they have complete. So an entire region of Andhra Pradesh doesn't seem to be in any of these camps as of now. So the parties from there also seem to be wait and watch policy being taken from their side as well. That is interesting enough also. And
other thing that is interesting, I'm going to butt in here. Yeah. We're looking at OP Rajbhar, caste politics, again, very crucial ahead of 2024. Did you try to read between the lines when, Lalu Prasad Yadav, Nitish Kumar, Tejashwi Yadav, all of them left ahead of the press conference? I did not see them at the press conference. Could this be, something really trivial, or is there more than what meets the eye? And let's not forget Nitish Kumar's posters were being, taken down because those unstable PM posters had propped up in across Bengaluru.
Well, I wouldn't read much into it because they said that they will be reached in Maharashtra. Now, the fact remains is that whether JDU and RJD will reach in Maharashtra, and it looks like they will come for that Maharashtra meet as well. So, I don't think so. We should, in fact, read too much into it. They must be having some kind of an engagement. But
my opinion was maybe they were getting late for their flight.
Maybe. So, and the other thing is that what are the things that they discussed? Joint resolution says the new coalition will safeguard the idea of India, promises caste census on. No, that is very contentious issue because the BJP has also been opposing this, saying that why would you divide the country further into different castes and regions, and therefore they promised caste census, and this caste census is across the country. It is going to be a huge exercise if they are all going to go for that caste census. An 11-member panel will be set up at the next meeting in Mumbai to evoke consensus, the issues that you have in fact raised. But there's also one thing that's happened in the NDA. Chirag Paswan has announced his return to the NDA fold. Nearly 3 years after breaking away from the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance, Chirag Paswan, who heads the faction of his late father Ramvilas Paswan's Lok Janshakti Party LJP, announced his formal return to the coalition and said that his party, the LJP Ramvilas, will be contesting the next Lok Sabha elections in an alliance with the BJP. So that is return of one member back into the NDA camp. That happened because
we've got the Prime Minister's reaction. After all of this transpired in Bengaluru, the Prime Minister at the NDA leaders' executive meet in the national capital, he had a lot of things to say, especially targeting this coalition of the corrupt, this coalition of negativity. Let's listen in, and I want your reaction on what how you think the opposition is now going to posture itself, focusing on what the Prime Minister has said. Let's take a look.
कोएलिशन कंपल्सन्स का नहीं बल्कि कोएलिशन कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस का प्रतीक है। क्रेडिट भी सबका है, दायित्व भी सबका है। एनडीए में कोई भी राजनीतिक दल बड़ा और कोई भी राजनीतिक दल छोटा नहीं है। हम सभी एक लक्ष्य के लिए आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। आपने देखा है 2014 हो या फिर 2019, भाजपा को बहुमत से अधिक सीटें मिली, लेकिन सरकार एनडीए की ही रही, एनडीए की भागीदारी बनी रही। साथियों, एनडीए के गठन से लेकर ही हमारा संकल्प समाज के अंतिम व्यक्ति तक पहुंचने का रहा है। जो वंचित है, जो शोषित है, उसको सशक्त करना हमारी प्राथमिकता है। आज देश की जनता देख रही है कि एनडीए में कौन कौन से दल हैं। एनडीए में जितने भी दल हैं, वे समाज के ऐसे वर्गों के बीच काम करते हैं जो वंचित रहे हैं, शोषित रहे हैं। हमारे समूह में गांव, किसान, दलित, पिछड़े, आदिवासियों के बीच काम करने वाले ये सारे नेता यहां हैं। एनडीए में जो दल है वो ऐसे क्षेत्रों में काम करते हैं जिनकी पहले दिल्ली में सुनवाई तक नहीं होती थी। एनडीए एक प्रकार से क्षेत्रीय आकांक्षाओं का बहुत ही खूबसूरत इंद्रधनुष है। एनडीए देश के लिए, देश के लोगों के लिए समर्पित है। एनडीए की विचारधारा है नेशन फर्स्ट, सिक्योरिटी ऑफ नेशन फर्स्ट। एनडीए की विचारधारा है प्रोग्रेस फर्स्ट। एनडीए की विचारधारा है एम्पावरमेंट ऑफ पीपल फर्स्ट।
Well, so Varghese, what's your take on that? Is it going to be India versus Bharat, like the Prime Minister puts it, or is it going to be NDA versus India, like Mamata Banerjee puts it?
Well, you think these acronyms are great when you come to the table, but then when the Prime Minister says that it's versus Bharat versus India, the Prime Minister was actually talking about the idea of India, I mean, being projected as a very elitist club of people. Because remember, yesterday he said that it is also a meeting of dynasts as well as people who have interests trying to protect certain interests. So when he says dynasts, of course, if you see the the INDIA coalition, as we would call it, it's a coalition that, or the India
You
coalition.
haven't got the full form by heart, have you?
No, it's not about the full forming by heart. The question is that that acronym is kind of very much. It's going to be very difficult for a journalist to put out, because one is
It was difficult for Rahul Gandhi to read it as well. I saw him go look down at the dais because I'm sure it was written somewhere over there. That's how he got it.
yeah. So when you say India, I mean, when we refer to India, probably when he says Bharat versus India, he was actually pointing out to that elitist kind of this thing. So he's talking about the common people trying to fight out an elitist group of people. So that idea is also there, because we always say there is India and there is Bharat. India, the thing that we show to the world, and Bharat, the actual reality that is there. So he's trying to play on that as well. So, but the question over here is that when you have the India coalition, as we can call it right now, or a Congress-led India coalition, the question over here is that how far they will be able to go for the 2024 polls, where they would be actually able to dislodge the BJP, because the fact remains is that the BJP is the superior arm in that NDA coalition. As I was telling, it's a huge party with smaller parties on it.
Right.
But here, the Congress is piggy banking on the
It
rest
is
of
the
it.
NDA's game to lose. It's not the NDA's game to win. It's the NDA's game to lose and the opposition's game to win. So they are the defending champions. Certainly, the opposition is going to be looking up to the
But
NDA.
how will this play out? See, for example,
Well, that's
because
the
it's
big
going
question,
to, it's a big
Varghese,
question
that's
for
the
the
big question.
NDA is that how will they start criticizing the coalition of India? Because criticizing, especially on a political platform, the coalition of India is going to be very difficult. So I think they're going to have to
But
have
like the editorial
interesting
page here says,
wordplay. There's going to be a
name,
wordplay kind of a situation.
They have
that
a
they're trying
smart acronym, but is that enough? Will that be enough? We'll have to wait and find out. The battle lines have been drawn. It's India versus NDA. A committee is going to be formed. We'll soon have a convener. The next meeting is going to take place in Maharashtra. Meanwhile, the bigger question is, has India poked the NDA bear or not? Because, I mean, you never know. We've seen it time and again, especially with the Congress, how things just come back to bite them in the back later on.